Uber processed $193.454 billion in gross bookings last year. But its massive empire is walking straight into a trap. And the threat isn't coming from a rival app or a strict government regulator. It's coming from the exact robotaxis that were supposed to save them. Uber didn't start as a cheap ride to the airport. They began by dispatching luxury black cars in San Francisco, scaled into groceries and freight, and fought brutal regulatory wars. Now, they face a completely different threat. If the companies building self-driving cars decide to cut out the middleman, Uber loses its grip on the customer. It's a massive orchestration layer that could suddenly realize the vehicle builders are opening their own apps. So how did a scrappy San Francisco startup turn a simple taxi tool into a massive network handling $193.454 billion in gross bookings? And why are they risking it all right now? Back in 2010, getting a cab in a big city was awful. City rules kept the number of cabs low, wait times were a mystery, and paying was always awkward. But then GPS, app stores, and stored credit cards suddenly changed the math. Uber's real breakthrough wasn't the cars, it was the market design. They matched idle black cars with riders in real time, and, crucially, made the checkout completely invisible. But most people misremember how this actually began. Uber didn't launch as a mass-market utility. Their first product in San Francisco was a premium on-demand black car service. They launched as Uber Cab, charging about 50 to 100% more than a standard taxi. The goal wasn't to serve everyone yet. They were hunting for urban professionals willing to pay a steep premium just to guarantee a car would actually show up. It was a high-end test run. Media coverage in spring 2011 reported more than 10,000 registered customers in San Francisco alone. They proved the dispatch and payment model worked before trying to solve mass affordability. But a premium car service hits a hard market ceiling. To become true global infrastructure, they needed a drastically lower price point. Enter UberX in July 2012. By allowing regular, non-luxury cars onto the platform, they dropped prices by about 35%. That single price drop blew the doors off their addressable market. Demand shifted overnight from wealthy early adopters to practically everyone with a smartphone, pushing the network into hyperspeed. But growing that fast triggered a dangerous new trap. Relying on everyday gig worker drivers pushed the company straight into a war with local governments. Backed by a massive $1.2 billion funding round in 2014, they blitzscaled globally. But ride-hailing rewarded local liquidity over measured rollouts, meaning they weren't just fighting rival apps. They were fighting expensive, city-by-city legal battles. Local mayors and taxi unions pushed back hard. Labor disputes, licensing fights, and safety scrutiny followed them everywhere. Growth was historically fast, but they were burning mountains of cash, which leads to a survival move almost nobody saw coming. A company famous for fierce, aggressive global expansion actually survived by knowing exactly when to wave the white flag. In markets where direct competition meant endless subsidy wars, they surrendered operational control. In August 2016, they sold their China operations in exchange for an equity stake in Didi. They ran that same playbook a year later, merging their Russia and CIS operations with Yandex. By 2018, they handed Southeast Asia to Grab in exchange for a 27.5% stake. They realized taking a piece of the pie was cheaper than bleeding cash to own the whole bakery. Consolidation curbed the endless local losses. They traded direct control for strategic exposure. But just as the financial bleeding slowed, a massive governance crisis erupted. 2017 was a breaking point. A former engineer published severe harassment allegations, exposing deep, toxic cultural failures inside their corporate offices. Meanwhile, Reuters revealed the company had been using a software tool called Greyball. Its purpose? To identify and dodge city officials in markets where Uber wasn't legally cleared to operate. Add in a covered-up data breach from 2016 that exposed 57 million accounts, and the pressure hit a wall. founder Travis Kalanick resigned under intense investor pressure. Under a new CEO, Dara Khosrowshahi, the mission became fixing their toxic image, repairing trust, and steering this pirate ship toward a disciplined 2019 stock market debut. Going public steadied the ship, but just offering car rides wasn't enough to justify their massive valuation. They needed to own every type of movement in your city. By 2025, Uber had evolved into a three-headed platform portfolio: mobility for rides, delivery for restaurants and retail, and a freight division connecting carriers with shippers. But these aren't just isolated business units. Uber's own SEC filings point out that delivery drags entirely new consumers into the ecosystem, acting as a giant subsidized acquisition engine for the whole platform. Consumers who use both mobility and delivery transact at a much higher frequency than single-product users. To lock in that habit, they pushed their membership program, Uber One. It worked. Uber One closed out 2025 with 46 million members, blowing past 50 million by April 2026. Management recently let slip that those members now drive half of all gross bookings across both rides and delivery. They also layered in a local commerce advertising business. In 2025, advertising alone added $568 million to their delivery revenue growth. By full year 2025, they handled 13.567 billion trips across 202 million monthly active platform consumers. They processed $193.454 billion in gross bookings and brought in $52.017 billion in revenue. That sounds like total victory. But the business has a massive weak spot. If you want a cheaper ride, switching to a rival app takes 3 seconds. And heavy legal risks hover over their biggest expense: human drivers. Driver classification remains a structural fault line. If governments force Uber to reclassify independent contractors as full employees, their compensation, tax, and benefits costs will spike materially, which forces a massive strategic question. If flexible labor keeps getting more heavily regulated and expensive, what happens when autonomous vehicles finally hit the streets at scale? Originally, Uber tried to build its own autonomous stack, but maintaining an in-house self-driving arm was wildly capital-intensive. So in 2020, they sold off their self-driving division to Aurora. They shifted from trying to build the robots to just partnering with the companies that do. The new strategy is partnership-led. Uber wants to be the commercialization layer. Autonomous operators like Waymo, WeRide, and May Mobility can plug their hardware directly into Uber's massive demand engine. By early 2026, they spun up Uber Autonomous Solutions and casually dropped that autonomous trips on their platform had spiked more than 10x year over year. It sounds perfect. They capture the rider's money without carrying the heavy research costs. But this exposes them to a dangerous new trap. What if the hardware suppliers decide they don't want to live behind a marketplace forever? If a robotaxi operator builds a direct customer relationship, they could bypass Uber completely. Even Uber knows the risk. Their 2025 financial disclosures spell it out. They might lose the race to offer AV tech entirely, or their partners' vehicles could underperform and wreck consumer trust. In July 2026, an unverified news report even suggested Waymo was considering ending its partnership over time. The balance of power is fundamentally fragile. To defend their turf, they are trying to deepen their local operations everywhere. In July 2026, they announced a massive acquisition offer for Delivery Hero. That deal won't close until late 2027, if regulators even approve it. But the intent is obvious. Uber is buying local density to ensure users open their app out of pure muscle memory. Their fundamental bet is that the orchestration layer, connecting restaurants, riders, independent earners, and robots, holds the real economic power. They started by replacing a curbside wave with a digital map pin. Then they evolved that pin into a multi-category urban logistics machine. Here is the structural reality. Marketplaces are fragile. Uber operates in brutal environments with zero switching costs. They have to perpetually balance angry regulators, flexible earners, and hardware partners who are getting dangerously powerful. If regulators push through massive labor reclassifications, the economics break. And if robotaxi suppliers eventually go direct to consumers, Uber risks losing its grip on the rider. They survive taxi cartels and subsidy wars by becoming the default app for moving through the physical world. Now, they have to prove that owning the customer demand is enough to survive the robot era. When the foundation of your industry shifts, being the middleman is either the most powerful place to be or the most dangerous. Watch how they navigate this transition, because it will rewrite the rules of the physical world.